Hello, and welcome to Convos with Kendra. I'm your host, Kendra Holloway. On this episode, I will be talking with Dave Flowers, a Seattle-based musician, music producer, composer, and founder of the independent record label Interactive Jack Records. Among the topics we will discuss are his experiences in the music industry, the equipment he uses, and his production process. Later in this episode, Shannon Kringen, also known as Goddess Kring, a Seattle-based poet and multimedia artist with whom Dave has worked, will join us and answer a few questions. All right, welcome Dave, welcome Shannon. I'm glad to have you both on my podcast. So Dave, what is your background in the music industry?
Ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to play music, and I always admired a lot of the producers, especially some of the stuff that was done in the 70s and 80s. And so when I got old enough, I decided I wanted to work for a real record label. And I went to work for Miramar Records here in Seattle in my early 20s. And I eventually became the publicist of the company. And from that, I decided I wanted to start my own record label. And so being a musician and a producer, I didn't want to be a front guy. So I just found a lot of people that kind of wanted to work with me. And I just created this little label and supported my friends.
That's interesting, Dave. I'm sure a lot of people would benefit from your record label. What inspired you to pursue a career in the music industry?
I don't know if career was really in mind. I actually wanted to be an electrical engineer. And so I was kind of fumbling around with that stuff, building synthesizers, building home audio equipment for myself. I was just a kid. And I started collecting audio equipment, and that's how I stumbled into synthesizers. And having played piano a little bit, I thought this just seemed like the right road. So that's how I got into it.
I see.
I actually went to work for Miramar on accident because I went there as an artist to try to get signed. And they misinterpreted what I was trying to do and thought I was trying to get a job. And so they hired me. And that's how I ended up working there and kind of discovering that I didn't really want to be in a record label that already existed. I kind of just wanted to do my own thing.
Well, I guess it was a happy accident then. Moving on, if you had any memorable experiences in the music industry, can you tell us about them?
I've had a few interesting things that kind of blew my mind along the way. One of them was having listened to artists on the radio and seeing them on MTV, early days of MTV, and then actually having a chance to talk to them as a person at the record label when I was a publicist. It was surreal. I never really met any of the people that I really was a huge fan of, but I met people that I definitely liked their music and even had records from them. And when I met them, it was very strange to think that I was talking to them on a professional level, but they didn't see me as a musician. They had no idea what I did in the background. They just saw me as a publicist for this record label. So I was kind of just a person that they just were talking to give information to. It was kind of strange, to say the least.
Yeah, I can understand that. Are there any negative experiences you had in the music industry that you would like to share?
It's really screwy sometimes, and you start to see there's a lot of money-motivated things that happen in the music industry, and in the end, I think the sacrifice isn't in profits, it's in art. And that's the negative experience in the music industry that I've seen, which is why I wanted to do my own thing so that I had the freedom to just do whatever I wanted to do. And if it sold, it sold. If it didn't, it didn't. And I didn't care. I just wanted to make things that were interesting to me. And so it was self-serving in some ways. And yeah, it's not very profitable to do it that way, but more fun.
That's cool that you decided to do your own thing. I like that. What equipment do you use in your production process? This can include keyboards, control surfaces, consoles.
I use a lot of different equipment. I pretty much just use anything that is given to me to play with. When it comes to keyboards, I have a lot of analog equipment. So I have like a Roland Juno 106 synthesizer, a JX8P, these are both analog. I have a Korg Poly 800. I modified these myself because I'm an electrical guy, so I modded them and made them slightly different. And I have a bunch of other analog gear, old drum machines, Roland TR-909, old Boss rhythm machines. I even have a lot of like weird toys like the old Casios and things like that. Once I kind of got into digital, I love the VSTs. I think they're fantastic. And so I use a lot of that stuff now. I really like the Cherry Audio stuff. I like the Rawling Cloud stuff. For DAWs, I like Ableton. I like Cakewalk. I like Cubase. I've used all of those. They are all kind of similar in some ways, but I really like Cakewalk. I know it's kind of the underdog, but I just really like that one. There's some things about it that just make it really fun.
Wow, Dave. You answered several of my next questions. That's impressive. No need to answer them twice. Alright. I understand you also play a little guitar. Are there any other analog sound sources you've used?
Guitar, trumpet, bass, drums, percussion, odds and ends, anything that's just lying around the studio that makes noise. If it sounds good, it is good. That's the way I look at it.
Nice. Do you use any analog outboard gear in your production workflow?
I still to this day have a 32 channel by 8 bus mixer hooked up. Everything runs through it. It's the heart of the whole system. My DAW is plugged into just a left and right on that, and then everything else is hooked up to live instruments in the room. For example, drums or guitars or guitar amp simulators or microphones that are placed all around the room. So it's all ready to go, and then I have that feeding back into a 20-channel audio interface.
That's cool. As I said earlier, Shannon Kringen is with us, and she is going to answer some questions after Dave. Are you ready? Let's begin. I know we've talked a lot about your production process. When producing for other artists, what, if anything, do you change about your process? Dave?
Normally when I'm producing other artists, if they're only a vocalist or a singer-songwriter with like a guitar or something, that's my normal method. And I just do all the background music, the drums, bass, keyboards, all that stuff, and then they just do their parts. So if they wrote a song, they play me the song against a click track, I go in, I fill in all the background. If they are just a singer and want me to, I'll do all the background first, send it to them, then they can sit and work on writing lyrics to that. One of my artists who I am particularly fond of working with is Shannon Kringen, Goddess Kring, and her and I's process is a lot different than that.
Oh yeah? Can you tell us about your process, Shannon?
Well, I'm more intuitive with music, and I feel like I'm sort of in music school with Dave, but I have always dipped my toe into music, and so I've been writing poetry in my journal like since I was 12 or 13 years old, and I bring poems and rhymes and phrases in, and then I read them in a spoken word way to Dave, and then he helps me create them into music. He helps me figure out how my poem can turn into chorus and verse and song structure. That's how it starts.
We kind of do it in the same room at the same time. So she will write a whole bunch of poems and just poem like pieces. She comes here, then she reads them all to me. And then we talk about the direction of the song, like what kind of music. Like a lot of it's new wave, or she'll be inspired by a certain song. Hey, I like this Tom Petty song. And I'll say, oh, okay, cool. And then I'll just start working, while she's kind of working on stuff at the same time, I'll start working on the background. And I'll just do like verse, chorus, verse, chorus. I'll record it while I'm kind of creating it. And she doesn't really have any input on those chords or anything like that. She just says, oh, I like this, or that I don't like that. And then I just kind of do that. And as soon as we kind of get something put together, then we start trying to make her words fit in, and we come up with melodies together. And she'll go, oh, I like this line. I want to say it this way. And then we just kind of work through it. And then we record it one line at a time all the way through the whole piece. So we don't really know how the end is going to work out. And then the hook is created as we go. It's usually some line I'll hear and I'll go, oh, that's got to be the hook right there. And then that's the part we repeat.
It feels like we're solving a puzzle. Like sometimes my poem will be in one order, and then you'll pick out something that should be the chorus or the hook, like you said. And then I'm surprised by how the order of the words changes, and then it turns from a poem into a song. It's kind of a magical process.
That sounds like a really interesting and unique process. Dave, how do you maintain your artist's original visions?
I try to kind of make it collaborative. I don't think that I maintain their vision at all. And I'm probably not the right producer if they have a super strong vision. And in fact, there are many times that I've tried to work with somebody in which their vision was so strong that it just didn't work from a chemistry standpoint. Those artists I tend to maybe work one track with, and then as soon as I kind of discover they're like that, I don't do any future tracks with them. And then what's funny is those tracks end up on a side project I have. If you look on my Supaflower discography, the side series is called Music with Friends, and a lot of those are like one-time recordings. That's why, because it just was not fun to work with, or we just kind of discovered this is not a good match. But those artists always were awesome in their own right. I'm just a creative dude, and it's hard for me to just sit behind a board and not have creativity. And working with Goddess Kringen, she was quite famous before I ever even worked with her or knew her personally. So she already was doing a lot creatively. So I didn't want to infringe on any of that. And she wasn't really doing a lot of music stuff. So it kind of gave me a lot of room to just be super creative on my end while maintaining the challenge of making her unique style of poetry work with music. So that was my part of the puzzle as we talk about it.
That's a very interesting approach, Dave. How about you, Shannon?
I feel like a chameleon. So when you said that some of the musicians you only work with once, because maybe they're too rigid in their idea, I think maybe you and I work well together because I'm the opposite, because I'm not officially a musician. I more dabble in music, and I'm more of a spoken word poet, visual artist kind of person. So I'm open to whatever your ideas are, and I feel kind of like I'm a chameleon that just kind of bends in different directions depending on what you want to do.
That's a really interesting comparison, Shannon. So Dave, in what ways do you stay up to date in the music industry while keeping your signature sound intact?
First of all, I don't really try to keep up with the music industry as far as what I sound like. But I think, like all artists, I'm interested in what's going on. I watch a lot of music videos when I'm eating. A lot of people will watch TV when they eat. I love to watch TV while I eat, but I scan music videos. That's what I do. And so I stay really up to date on that. I really love pop music. So I'm always watching what they're doing, how they're putting their stuff together. I listen with a very production-minded ear because I record every day. So what I hear, I want to try out. I mean, I'll hear something, I'll go, oh, that was interesting. And the next time I'll try that. Or it'll inspire me to do something. So in that way, I'm constantly being inspired by new stuff, for sure. And because I like pop music, I think pop music has some of the best, I mean, it's got the most money. So they're putting their top dollar into production. And those guys are all experts. They know exactly what they're doing. And it shows, and like you can hear it in the production, and they're just taking everything to the nth level, which is what I'm about to. So I love that. And my signature sound, I would say, is funny because I don't know how I would identify it, because I just do what I do. But I would say if you asked me, I think it is kind of 70s, maybe 70s and early 80s. I'm really inspired. Those are the years that I just was forming my musical opinions, and those artists are just strong in my brain, and I'm always going back to those synthesizer tones, the old Moog leads and Moog basses. I mean, you hear it all over my own music, the old drum machines, the 909, the 808. I mean, they're classics, and there's a reason why. My friends and my family will say that they can tell when the stuff is mine. I'll have it in random rotation sometimes, and my own son will go, oh, I can tell this one's yours. And I'm like, oh, wow, how does he know? How can he tell? He says something about the sound.
Oh, I see. Shannon, how about you?
I just listen to lots of music that I love, whether it's new or old. Doesn't matter to me. If I like it, I like it. And I don't know. I think I just have my own style. I don't know. I just follow my own instinct, I guess.
That's cool that you both have your own styles. What advice would you give someone interested in pursuing a career similar to yours in the music industry?
I say the same thing that I would have said all along, and that is, don't be quiet, make some noise, try to get your foot in every single door, and the more people that you reach out to, the more likelihood it is that someone will hear you that can do something about it. But that being said, being your own best publicist, I mean, publicity there's no secret to it. I mean, it's just about getting the word out there as much as you possibly can, marketing yourself. In the end, if that's what you want, is a career in it, then you're going to have to market yourself. It's very competitive at this point. There's a lot of people out there, trying to get famous, regardless if they know even if that's what they really want or not. That's what they're pursuing. So you have all that competition. And the people back in the 60s and 70s didn't have the same kind of competition as we have now. But I'll say this, if you make money as a producer and people pay you to produce or pay you to do audio stuff, then one great spot is that spot because you get paid whether the record sells or not. So if you want a career in the music industry and you want a high likelihood of success, probably behind the scenes working for some sort of salary or wage is probably your best bet because those jobs always get paid. Even if no one comes to the show, if you help put on the show, you get paid.
That's good advice, Dave. You're right, networking is very important. Shannon, do you have any advice you would like to share?
I say in the visual art or music world or even acting, any kind of the arts, I would say, like you just said, if you work on the crew, you get paid. That's why I became an art model. I'm a visual artist, but the way I get paid is I'm an art model. And so it's related to art, and then I can do my art in whatever way I want. So if someone wants to get into the music world, I think they should do the music that they love. But if they don't know how to make that sell, then maybe they can get a job that's in radio or being a sound engineer or a recording engineer, kind of be part of the crew that helps put on music shows or record music professionally so you can be connected to the music world.
I like that, Shannon. Dave, back to you. Are there any samples of your work that you would like to share? If not, where can we listen to samples of some of your work?
Well, you can hear all of my stuff at interactivejack.com. I'm Supaflower on there, so if you go in there, you look at just Supaflower, you'll find me, and that's the bulk of my work. But what's funny about it is I'm a little behind on my release schedule, so I've got about 20 albums that are not up there that are all, I just need to keep up to date a little bit more on that. I've just been producing other stuff, and so that has fallen off. But I keep producing my own stuff, I just have not been posting it lately. So that is going to change soon. But if you want to hear Shannon and I's work together, our albums are up there. They're under Goddess Kring. We have 3 releases up there, hopefully more to come. We've got a ton of unreleased stuff that we haven't put out yet, so we just have to find the right time to put it out.
Nice. How about you, Shannon?
I just have a website, shannonkringen.com. And the music that I've done with Dave Flowers is also streaming on all the platforms, YouTube and Amazon and Bandcamp and Spotify and all of that. But it's nice to go to Interactive Jack and listen to it there. But you can also stream it on all the other platforms if you want. It's fun to share it with everybody who's interested. So thanks for listening.
That's awesome. And finally, is there anything else either of you would like to add that we haven't already discussed?
I could tell a billion crazy stories about my time so far in doing music and opening for bands that I couldn't believe that I was getting a chance to do and those kinds of things. I did this whole stint of playing piano for the Microsoft Swing Band. It's basically a jazz band. Like a lot of people didn't even know that existed. And I didn't even know until I was recruited to be the pianist for them. I did that for 2 years. That was pretty fun. Played in a ton of funk bands. I DJ all over the place. I just stay busy. I try to record every day. If you want to get good at something, you got to do it all the time. You should do what you love, right? I love recording, so that's what I do. I just record all the time.
That's a good point, Dave. Shannon, is there anything else you would like to add?
Do what you love, and whether you can make a living at it or not, I don't think matters as much as doing what you love. And in fact, you might have more freedom in your art. If you try to make music or art that sells, it may or may not work, and then you may or may not be happy. But if you totally do what you love and you believe in, and you have a way of making a living that supports you and doing your art in the way that you want, I mean, ideally, it's good to make a living with your art. But if not, at least you can make a living in a similar way and then have total freedom to do the art you want to do and the music you want to do and put it out into the world the way you want it to be shared.
Yes, I agree, Shannon. I like that.
Thanks, Kendra, for interviewing us. It's been, as always, a great time to hang out with you. So thanks so much. And you all visit me online, and I guess we'll talk soon.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Dave and Shannon, for taking the time to talk with me today. And thank you for listening to Convos with Kendra. Again, I'm Kendra Holloway, and I will see you next time.